what I'm excited about is when you do the right things and you follow a proven system in a proven process, what you'll learn is that you'll do the right things that put you in position to meet the people you need to meet. When you do the right things, the messaging that you have and your confidence will come across in a way where people will say, oh, wow, this person knows what he's talking about, or she knows what she's talking about. So it's very important that when we're building this business in this industry, that we look at what's working and then we mimic and we duplicate it. Look, I'll be the first to come to the congregation and say, I didn't know everything when I first started. I tried it. I was trying to figure it out. It took me definitely longer to make 5 figures per month. So it wasn't in my first year, but I learned over time, and it was such a blessing is that when you learn from people who's already been there, then you can immediately implement what they're training you to do, and you can get results at a faster pace, which is why I'm excited for what the future to come. So what's interesting about when you're running a coaching business, I know some of us, you might be in a place where you're just getting started and it's like, okay, I'm trying to figure out my niche. I'm trying to figure out my program. I'm trying to figure out like my curriculum. How do I even put out this content? So you might be in a place where you're starting literally from scratch, just trying to build this up. Or there's another group of people that really follow me, rock with me. And these are the folks who you've been in this for a while. Maybe you've been in this for a year, a few years. And you're in a place where you're basically treading water. It's like, okay, I'm kind of doing some things. I'm kind of putting out content. Maybe you've coached some people for free or paid already. Maybe you've done some speaking engagements for free or paid already, but you haven't built this in a sustainable way to generate revenue, right? Most folks who come to me, they're in a place where they're looking to make and or generate, let's say, $10,000 a month, 20, 30K, 40K a month, right? And it's like, okay, well, how do I do it and make it sustainable, right? Not the quick up and downs, but how do I do it in a sustainable fashion? And that's what's really important.
Right. Before I met Coach T, it was like I had this dream. I had an idea of what I wanted to do. I have a teaching license, 4th through 9th, and I knew I didn't want to be in a classroom. I had all of this knowledge that I wanted to give, but I didn't know exactly how I wanted to implement that. And so Coach T helped me get focused. He helped me find my niche. He helped me find my voice in what is now becoming something greatly needed, to the point where I was in Florida and even able to connect with Governor DeSantis, because he's all about putting financial literacy into the schools. And even though he didn't say, I'm definitely going to go with you, the fact that I was even able to have that connection was pretty cool.
So I guess I kind of want to talk about, talk about what was the challenge that you were facing, really just before you kind of started getting, and we put together a game plan for you to really take this to another level. Just kind of talk about some of the challenges that you were facing beforehand.
Well, one of my biggest challenges was just belief in myself. Sometimes you think when you're going into, you got something to give, that people need you, but when it's time to talk about what you do, you get a little bit tongue-tied, you get a little bit afraid, like, am I really accomplished at this? Do I know enough? Am I prepared? Especially you and I, when it came down to that curriculum, because I'm like, if I don't have a curriculum, if I don't,
check back, they're gonna be at Carousel 1.
Sorry,
Carousel 1.
It's all good.
But yeah, if
you left any items in the jet bridge,
but if I don't have my curriculum, I thought, I don't have anything to give. No one's going to believe me. They're not going to believe that I can take these kids from absolutely knowing nothing to being able to understand the stock market, to being able to start their own business and actually generate revenue. They're not going to believe this. And so I felt like I needed to at least spend a year or so writing this curriculum and have a textbook and have this. And you're like, no, you already have the knowledge. You can start speaking. There are things you can do. Put yourself out there. I didn't want to be on camera. I don't like to be on camera. I love to speak. I love being in front of people, but I don't like to be on camera. And I had to go live, and I had to make all of these different videos. And so I really need to do that.
You got to a point where you really had to make a decision, right? Because there's a lot of folks that are deciding, should I do this? Should I get coached? Should I get help or not in order to build this? And I want y'all to see this, because after this, we're going to talk about some of the practical things that she's done that's allow her to get high ticket clients. But just talk about the process of what was going through your mind as you were deciding whether or not you should make the decision to get coaching. What was some of the things that you were thinking about and considering before doing it, and what made you say yes?
Well, I was worried about getting about paying for something I wasn't going to use. You know, that was my biggest thing. Is like, okay, yes, you're a coach and you're going to talk to me, but what does that look like? You know, if I'm not in a classroom setting, because I'm used to being in a classroom setting when you learn something, how is this going to work out for me? And what was pretty cool about you was that I think I initially had my first call maybe like in August, but I didn't actually sign up until November, like right before Thanksgiving. But in the meantime, you followed up. You said, "Hey, Tina, how's it going? Did you ever start that business? Hey, what are you working on? Hey, what's going on?" And that made me feel like, okay, this person actually cares. I said no. I said maybe. I said later. But when you called me in November and you were like, "Hey, what are you? It's the end of the year. Are you going to get started with your business? How long? How long before this becomes a priority to you?" And I'm like, he has a point. I'm wasting time. And the person who I really wasn't sure of wasn't really you. It was me. At what point in time do I start believing that I can? You know, at what point in time do I start investing in me? I invest in everyone around me all the time. So why won't I invest in me?
So you've been out here, killing the game, right? You had a super huge, we're coming out of a super huge month that you really had. And one of the biggest questions we've been getting is, hey, like how did you do it? Like, what does that really look like in terms of, generating this type of revenue or making or landing these type of clients? I guess kind of talk about, what do you feel were maybe like some of the top things that you did that put you in position to generate that type of revenue? What are some things, maybe top 2-3 things that you did that put you in position to get clients like that and to make that type of revenue?
One major thing that I did was back to believing. Once I decided to invest in me, I decided that I'm going to drink my Kool-Aid. I'm going to believe and go after it like it's nobody's business. This is who I am and this is what I do. I am a financial literacy coach. I am what your child needs. I am what your student needs. And once that went from my heart to my head, anywhere where I am, I talk about my business. I ended up, my biggest lead was through the YMCA. My first lead was through the YMCA. And it was just me. I put out a flyer for a free class. And I actually took some into the YMCA, and I asked the lady, I said, "Can I leave these?" She said, "Well, we have a leadership program here. I'm sure that the guy who runs it would love to have you speak to his class." And I said, "Wow, okay." And it's all about believing in you. Because then later I was talking to people, like even like I said with the governor, I have no connections to him in any way. It was me not shutting up to a friend about what it is I'm trying to do while I was in Florida. I said, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. This is where I'm in Cleveland right now, but I can do this in Florida. Do you know anyone? Do you know any connections? Do you have any connections to schools?" Because she's always talking about how she has all these connections. I said, "Oh, okay, great. So what connections can you help me get into schools? What connections can you help me get around here? Because you have these great connections." So that turned into I dare you. And she was like, "Okay, bet." So you never know. You have people around you all the time. You have people around you right now that can help improve your business, grow your business. And what is that thing called? 6 degrees of separation. You never know who they know. Absolutely, you never know who they know. So doing lives, doing your videos, you don't know who's watching you, and you don't know who's going to share you. And that's the biggest way to meet big ticket people, is one, to go where they are too. Go where they are. Talk to the people who are connected to them. You may not get them. You may get the assistant. You may get again, if they're close to them, you never know. Go ahead and jump in there and have the conversation. Have the conversation with everyone and believe in you.
You were really trying to get your head wrapped around this curriculum, right? Really get your head wrapped around it, which is the same thing that you taught in a free class, which is how you had the confidence to be able to teach the free class. I guess just talk about, how did you come up with your curriculum and the program that you wanted to teach and train these kids with? How did you come up with the content for that? Because I think that essentially is where they're going to get a lot of their confidence from when they're doing these free classes or trainings or workshops or webinars, right? So kind of talk about that for a second.
Well, Coach T has this thing called the PCS map that he does in his program, and the map forces you to focus and to come up with your 12 things that you want your clients to know, or 12 steps you want your clients to gain. And I was able to use my PCS map and create my program. I was able to use the PCS map as I'm working on my workbook, and I will be completely finished and printed with my workbook at the end of this week. Thank you very much.
What was this free class that you did? Who did you do it for, and what was your purpose of doing it?
The purpose of my free class was, one, have a good day. Merry Christmas. The purpose of my free class was to get testimonials, to get video, and to see how my program would work with children. Because even though I had did pieces of it before, I had never worked or tried it with students I didn't know. So I wanted to see how it went over. Would they be receptive? I had a class full of kids, and a few of them, their parents forced them to be there. So it was pretty cool that after spending a day with me, I had a 16-year-old walk up and say, "Hey, I didn't want to be here, but I had fun, and I'm glad I came." That made me, talk about a confidence builder. Oh, it was like, oh, heck yeah, this is real. I can do this. Because 16-year-old boys, all they care about is video games and girls. But the idea of money, you're going to teach me how to get it, how to keep it? Okay. And I'm in the
what we can do is, whether you're doing yours, you could do your own in-person like workshop or event, even if it's just 5-10 people. You can do that for your ideal clients. You could do it virtually, where you'll bring people on a Zoom call or Google Meet, and now you're training and you're teaching on your material. You're training and you're teaching on your curriculum, right? It can be alive. It can be anywhere that you can congregate your ideal clients and teach and train them on what you know, your authority, right? So Tina is the authority on financial literacy, especially when it comes to, the kids and teens, right? So with that being said, she just demonstrated, she did something in the world, took the idea, created a program and a curriculum, went out and taught the same topics and concepts in an actual event, and an actual free class event where her ideal clients came out. So that's where we're at now. Talk to us about, how did you turn that free class, because we still didn't get any money yet. So how did you turn that free class into an opportunity where you've been able to land high ticket clients from that? Like, what's the connection?
Well, I did the class with the kids from the YMCA, and their program director said, "Hey, we have this thing in a couple days with the people who writes our grants, the people who does our sponsorships, and for our program. So why don't you come and tell them about the day that the kids spent with you and what the kids will learn from this. And I said, sure, why not? Again, had to come in with that confidence. Hey, this is what I do. That was just one day. The kids had a great time, but imagine what I can do with them for 12 weeks. Imagine what they could become, how many barriers we can break through with 12 weeks. And so at that point, nothing was set in stone until I got a call saying, hey, we're trying to do this boys program. And you got any ideas? Ideas? I got great ideas. Say, this is what I've been waiting for. Yes. They said, well, can you send us a curriculum? Can you send us the breakdown of how you would do this in 20 weeks? I said, oh yeah. And he said, and send me an invoice. I said, no problem. I got you. So yeah, and since then it's been just people like, hey, so what is this program? What are you doing? It's like, well, let me talk to you about it. I had to start doing press kits. I'm still working on that. I want to do that while I'm home. I haven't been home in a while. So I just landed in Cleveland. Yay. So I'm going to get press kits together so that I can actually send them out and people will be able to understand exactly what it is I do, and have it all wrapped up into a little neat bow. Yeah, my plan is for 2023 to be so busy that I can't breathe because I want to reach the world.
And we all have that ability to really land high ticket clients and contracts like that, just from the value. So ultimately, just realize this, all Tina did was get super confident and clear on what she was offering and what she was teaching people. She went out into the marketplace and delivered that service for free so people can get a taste. It's no different than us doing a webinar. It's no different than us, speaking on somebody else's stage where you're just basically giving your training and your content for free. She became the authority and the right person saw it and said, I want to do business with you. I would like to work with you. I want to be your client.